Good morning, everyone. Justin here, and today I am going to draw this very famous photograph from the 9/11 disaster. And every year I try to draw something related to 9/11 on this day, just to remember all those who've perished as well as those who helped, tried to help them. And this really conveys that really well. This is a very famous photograph by the photographer Thomas Franklin, where three firefighters were raising the US flag after both towers had fallen. So, anyway, I'm just starting right off the bat with a pen, and I'm using a Uniball Micro pen, which is waterproof. This works really well if you're planning on doing a watercolor wash, which I will do later and add a little bit of color. As you can see, I'm starting without doing pencil layout first. So when you use a pen to draw something right off the bat like this, it's important to really try to pay attention to the proportions. Look at the negative shapes as well as the positive. Negative meaning the areas that are not actually the subject matter. And this will just help you better with keeping your proportions correct. I took about 10 minutes total for this, so I didn't take too much time. So I'm not sure that I got all the proportions correct, but it doesn't matter. The whole idea is this is a sketch and trying to convey the message, which I think I have. Anyway, um, always start with some one section of the photograph or whatever your reference picture is, and then everything else after, place it in relation to what you've already drawn. So if you see that, for example, the firefighter on the left, I started with him first just because he was on the left side. Sometimes I'll start in the middle. Anyway, I started with the left firefighter, drawing his head. So then, based on the height of his head, including his helmet, for example, I'll draw the arm in relation to that, make sure that it's appropriate, multiple or whatever of the size of his head, and do everything else based on that. As well as look at where, say, his flashlight is in relation to his hat. Is it directly below or a little bit off to the left or to the right? And I'll go into more detail with this in another video. But this is going to be a simple line drawing, just black and white, um, trying to get the gist of things. And like as I mentioned, I'll just add a little bit of color. So now if I wasn't planning on doing color, I would probably normally add a whole bunch of shading, hatched lines, cross hatch lines, just to give this a little bit more life. I normally don't do a lot of watercolor, but I'm trying to get into it a little bit more and hopefully try to get better at it, just to improve my skills a bit as well. So I have this drawing sped up by a factor of 2, and I believe I mentioned that the drawing itself took me about 10 minutes, I would say, and I added another 7-8 minutes to add a little bit of color. As you can see, I also added a little bit of shading just underneath the hats, just to give it a little bit of contrast, and really this sketch can stand on its own without color. Now I switched over to a pencil. I believe it's an HB, and I switched to this just to add a little bit of background to the sketch. Now, the firefighters in this scene were standing up, I believe, about 20 feet above ground and a distance away in front of the debris field behind them, which is what I'm drawing here. Now, the debris was, of course, consisted of lots of beams, steel beams from the fallen towers, along with a lot of debris. So I'm using the pencil here just to keep it in the background a little bit, in not really very clear. And there's no need to add a lot of detail here. So, as I mentioned, I just added a little bit of color here with the watercolor. The colors dried out a little bit lighter than I had wanted, but anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and let's take a moment and remember those who died that fateful day. We'll see you next time. Bye.